just from listening to the staff during different online events that we've had, that definitely covered a lot of what they have been hearing from their families. Can you see the questions at the bottom on the Q&A? If not, I can read them to you because there were just a few more.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Okay. So do you want to just kind of go through those as well? I think they were typing them as you were presenting, and I think you ended up covering some of them, but maybe if you want to just see if there's anything that wasn't covered. I know some people had questions about the waivers, and as a follow-up, how do parents have a voice to change this or make an impact? Was one that was coming up in the chat box as well.
Okay, I think I missed that because I was reading that. I'm sorry. What was the question?
That's okay. So, whenever you were discussing the waivers, that was something that a lot of the staff was emailing and chatting about. One of the questions that, well, obviously you confirmed that there is that possibility, but they wanted to know if there was a way for service providers or parents to have a voice to change this or make an impact.
Oh, yes. So the short answer is to call your congressman, but I can give you more emails, more details. But the short answer is to call your congressman. But I know I'm a part of an organization called COPA, and they sent out not just the information or phone numbers, but also like a draft sort of language that you can specifically state as well, that I can send an email and forward on.
Okay. If you send that sample to me, I can forward it to the staff.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
And if they do end up getting those waivers passed, will they consider extending the age in which the students can be in school?
So that's a good question. I would expect so, because it all is, I would expect so. Yeah, that would be my answer.
Okay.
Because it could affect whether someone graduates.
Right. With the meeting the standards that they were going to be anyway.
Yeah.
We have a question: if a child is attending a private school and it is not offering IEP support, is the public school related to that child responsible to provide IEP support at the private school for the child in need?
Yeah, I mean, they would be on the hook for that, for doing it or not doing it. And then they would be on the hook for even if how effective the support is. So if this, well, let me back up. Is this an approved private school that the child was at?
It does not specify, but if you could give us both.
Yeah, so if it's an approved private school by the public school, then yes, the public school would definitely be on the hook for and responsible for providing the IEP support that the private school is not providing. If this was a private school where the parents sought the private school out without sort of consent from the public school, then no. The public school would not be responsible for that.
Okay. I want to hold my child back. What do I need to do based on the closure?
Talk to the principal of the school, actually, and talk with them about, I'm assuming it might be because of maybe not meeting goals or not feeling like your child's going to be prepared to advance to the next grade. So I would talk to the principal because the principal will probably want to know, where is your child currently versus where you think he needs to be, or where does he need to be in order to advance. And you could very likely receive consent for that. Now, if the principal doesn't consent because for one reason or another, he would need an answer in writing as to why and I would want him to put an answer in writing. So maybe send it by email or confirm through an email you are not approving this for XYZ reasons, because it then can turn into whether it will be a due process issue. But you first have to start with the principal.
What is the best way for families to talk to the school about the IEP pass fail, and who should they include on the email?
So they should include principal, special ed director, and then the teacher, at least the main teacher, if they have some concerns about that. And what is the best way for them to talk to the school about it would be, I would actually think a better way would be through some sort of video conference, just because I think that's a more effective communication than email. But if that's not possible, then have everyone on email.
I'm typing the responses as you're saying it, so.
Okay.
Okay, so for Highlands families, may the family express that because they have multiple children on one laptop, they cannot support 30 minutes in one class for each child, even if some of the children do not have an IEP. And I guess that would be for any district, but just the scenario would be that what if the district is requiring a minimum of so many minutes and there's only one laptop? Is that contestable or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. Yeah, if they're not going to provide any more laptops than one, then I don't see how they can make the demand for a household with 4 kids that everyone meets that goal of 30 minutes.
Okay.
So yeah, they should definitely be able to make a different accommodation for that.
What if the child has an IEP and has behavioral issues and just refuses to do all of the work? They can do some, but not what the school is wanting them to accomplish.
So what is the question? What does the parent do?
I think so. And can the parent maybe have any kind of communication with the school where they understand that it's not necessarily the amount of work that the child can't accomplish, it's just the behavioral issues are interfering with that.
Yeah. So I would definitely have a conversation with the school and just explain exactly what's going on. Because it's very likely that the same thing the child is doing at home, the child does at school. So the schools would be very familiar with that. And and then seek advice. Is there anything? What is it that you do at school that works? And then the parent also can even go to the IEP and see if there's something in there that can also be done at home that maybe the school does at school that works. Because for right now, the parent is going to be teacher.
Okay. Okay. What happened? We did have.
And quite frankly, oh, sorry, just real quick.
That's okay.
Um, if it also helps and the parent doesn't mind doing it, depending, I guess, on the pushback they get from the school district, it could also help to video what's going on, just to corroborate what you're saying, that, you know, these are directly, these are behavioral issues, but, this child, I'm thinking that the child may have an IEP due to behavioral issues, just to show that this is behavior consistent with his or her disability, and so you need some additional help. But that's, if the parent is comfortable doing that or thinks that they might need to do that in order to make a case with the school.
That's a good idea. I think you answered the the waiver questions. For a child who was at the beginning of the IEP process, postponing could be detrimental to the child's learning. The school could just use this to not address the issues because of this situation, and then it could be another year to get something in place. So that was kind of a statement, but do you have any advice about whether, I mean, I know you talked about it at the beginning of the slides, but maybe any kind of elaboration on that, what to do if you were at the beginning of the process?
Yeah, so at the beginning of the process that's a tough one because yes, everything has now been put on hold. I will say that, you know, I hate to say the good thing, but one thing about being at the beginning of the process is that it also put the school district on notice that this was a child in need of special education, and therefore a child with a disability. So, if necessary, there could be room for argument that if the child gets further and further behind, compensatory education could be made.
If a child is refusing to get on the phone or do virtual meetings or work, may the family offer to do worksheets and take a picture and send it in to the teacher?
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely. Yep.
Okay. We have I initiated an IEP request for my child, but the initial evaluation, this is kind of like a follow-up to that, didn't take place due to the current state of emergency. What process is due to my child, and or is the initial evaluation suspended until the current status school closure is lifted?
Yeah, if nothing in the evaluation has taken place, then it's going to be postponed. They're not going to be obligated to complete it within that timeline. Mainly because, um, oh, sorry, because while they could do some of the things, like get the teacher input, interview the child, interview the parent, they're not going to be able to run any of the assessments that would be necessary. So that part, especially of the evaluation, will be postponed. They could at least start it, but they wouldn't be able to finish it. And then they also wouldn't be subject to the timelines.
Can the family keep track of the hours that are lost to use next year with OT and PT if there is no way to do it via video chat?
Yes, and I would encourage, yeah, and I would definitely encourage parents to keep track of all of that, just because that's going to be owed to the child for the following year. So definitely keep track of any hours that have been lost. And I would keep track, along with the hours, of any regression that's happened as a result of that. You know, not just the fact that the child hasn't made any progress, but if he's regressed in any form or fashion, keep track of that as well.
That was actually one of the things that I personally heard while we were out in the field doing food distributions, is that parents were really frustrated because schools aren't supplying technology, but they do require, the speech, that the child has a speech teacher, for instance, and that's something that you basically cannot do on paper. So do parents with a situation like that where the child does need that interaction, do they have a right to fight for equipment from schools that have equipment that they just aren't releasing?
Yeah, so the school has equipment that they're not giving to the families.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, and I would want in writing, so through an email at least, why the school's not releasing the equipment.
Okay.
Because because it's now an access issue, and it's been very clear, especially Department of Education's been very clear that there shouldn't be access issues. And if the school didn't have it, it'd be one thing, but to have it and they're just not giving it out, that's a whole different situation.
Right.
Because they also, I'm sure, have some sort of obligations of the child being required to learn. So
Right. Yeah, that's what I thought as well. I mean, obviously there are some school districts that truly have no technology or very limited budgets, but if they have it and it's a special ed family that has a child that needs that interaction, I don't see how they can. I think that there's ways to be able to fight for that. And
yeah.
one of the other questions that I had was, can a special ed student be assigned new subjects or work that they did not do while they were in the building with the special education teachers?
So they can, if I'm thinking it's probably would have been the next logical sequence in the learning. But I would expect the teacher to really go above and beyond to explain the new material.
Okay.
So not just send home packets and then say figure this out, or even over the phone. I mean, that's something where I would especially expect a virtual classroom as much as hands-on as can be done with whiteboards and everything, explaining, live and in person so that the child can then ask questions.
Okay. One parent stated one teacher asked for schoolwork completed packets to be printed out, but that parent can't afford the printer ink. Can she ask the school to provide the ink?
Yeah, or even I was thinking just ask the school to print it out for her and then mail it home.
Okay.
Yeah, yep, that could definitely be made. I wouldn't even worry about asking for the. I mean, unless she just wanted to be in control of the printing and how when it gets printed and all of that, because if she's concerned that the school's going to take too long to send it, then um, she can request the printer ink. I think there could be some pushback from the school in paying for the ink because they're going to be concerned that it's not going to be used just for educational purposes. You can print out whatever you want. Um, so it would be a better way would just be to request the school to print it out for her.
And let me just go through and make sure. Okay, there was one chat question, and I'm not entirely. It said, is the parent permitted to chunk it? I'm thinking that means, let me see. I'm trying to see where the context is.
I saw that kind of come up as we were talking.
Yeah.
Chunk. Um,
Let me see.
I don't see why not. If chunking is what helps their child learn.
So she said chunking work means to not give as many problems. So not give the whole assignment.
And so if that's especially already in the IEP to where the student was or the teacher was doing that, then yeah, I would talk with the teacher about that first and just let her know, especially if it's already in the IEP. This is in the IEP, so if you're not going to do that, I'm gonna do that.
Okay. All right. So last call for questions. I think we covered.
Well, I saw one come up. Heard schools are asking families to sign waivers for the IEPs. I believe it's a waiver for the IEP to not stay implement.
Yeah. Thank you. I thought that was about the, I thought you covered that in the waivers, but that is a different question asking the families to actually sign them. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So I have not heard of anyone being asked to waive the requirements of the IEP. I would not advise anyone to waive requirements of the IEP. I would wait until and see if the state makes that request, but I wouldn't, because then the schools aren't going to be obligated to do anything, and the child could fall even further behind. So I definitely wouldn't advise any parents to sign any waivers waiving the school's obligation to implement the IEP. The school needs to make an effort to do something.
All right. I think that's everything we have from the chats and the questions. If we have any other questions that come up, would they be able to, you guys could just email me and then I can send it over to Ms. Price and then she can kind of fill it that way. I know you're going to be back on Thursday with our families.
I am.
Excited for that. And staff, if you guys have any other family members that you need to invite to the webinar on Thursday, I am getting confirmations and RSVPs, so thank you for that. You can continue to send them the link, and if they have any questions, my cell phone number is on the bottom of the email, and you guys can also forward them the link from our calendar invites. And I think that's everything that we have. And will you be able to provide us with the PowerPoint?
Absolutely. Yep, I can send that through email.
Okay.
And I have on the, just real quick on the, I forgot, on the last slide, it does have I think it has my contact. yeah, my contact. So yeah, that's on there.
Okay. All right, great. So we'll look forward to that PowerPoint. I'll forward that to you guys in the email. And then also, if you could just remember to send us also the information on how to get a hold of our
Yeah,
congressman.
yes, I'll definitely send you that.
And it actually looks like there's one more. Sorry. Oh, we are trying to do a lot of one of our staff members' families are telling them to do a lot of messages by text and email, so there is a paper trail. What if a teacher only wants to talk via phone or video?
I would, if I would still communicate with them that way, but then I'd follow up with an email saying, we talked today. I just want to confirm, this email is to confirm my understanding of the conversation, and then just, give a summary of everything that was discussed.
All right. All right. I think that's everything. Thank you so much for your time today. And
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate this.
I'll
I hope
see you Thursday. And everybody else, thank you so much for all the good questions. And we will see you guys later this week, and have a good week, and everybody stay safe and healthy. All right,
Thanks,
bye.
Bye. Have a good weekend.
You too.